Hi, this is Chef. This fufu is F-U, Death Keeper. This works great. Hiya, hiya. This is Reverend Cha-Cha. Hiya, hiya. This is Chef Cha-Cha Dave. First of all, I want to wish Amar a happy belated birthday. It was the other day. Everybody forgot. He was very, very upset, you know. But anyway, happy birthday, Amar. He's 30 years younger than I am, and I'm old. So he's really not that young anymore. Okay. Tonight I'm making French onion soup, okay? And that's gratinée à l'oignon. Now, we say it here in America, gratinée à l'oignon. But at any rate, it's French onion soup. And I'm making it with mozzarella cheese on top instead of Gruyere or other cheeses, Swiss cheese. I'm going to be putting Havarti cheese on it and mozzarella cheese. I love the strings of the mozzarella cheese. And so I'm going to first show you, I'm going to slice the onion. Has to be sliced very thin. Okay, now I'm going to turn my pan on, and I'm going to put a little olive oil in it, just a couple tablespoons, and we're going to caramelize these onions. Now that takes about 20 minutes or so, and then I like to also throw in a little bit of butter. Okay, now I'm going to slice in, put in the sliced onions, and I'm going to saute them very, very lightly. As soon as they really come up to heat, then I'm going to lower it and let all of the sugars come out of the onions. I sliced those onions real fast, didn't I? Did you see that? All right, now while this is working a little bit, I'm going to slice my bread. I'm going to take it from the center because these are going to be my croutons. This is French bread that I just made, and I want the croutons to be about that thick. And each bowl will get 2 croutons. Now these croutons are very soft. I'm going to put them in the oven, and I let it bake for about 15 minutes. Okay, now this is what we're looking for. They slightly have a brown hue to them, but they're not fried. And I'm going to even lower it a little bit more. All right. Now at this point, I'm going to deglaze the pan with about 1/4 cup of wine. And I'm going to put a little salt and pepper in now at this point. Just a little bit. Then I'm going to cover this and let it bring more of the sugar out. I'm confusing this with a Spanish video that I was going to make. I never knew how they could do this with those castanets. At any rate, stir this around, okay? Now I'm going to cover this. And this is, I'm going to just put a little bit of oil in here. This is where the soup is going to go. Tiny, tiny bit of olive oil. Not too much, just a little. Then I'm going to throw my garlic in here. And just let the garlic just toast. And then I'm going to shut it off. Alright, now I'm shutting that off, and I'm just going to let it toast from the heat. This is a cast iron pan, and it's a great pan. The only thing that I don't like about it is this is a Melnack handle. You put this in the oven, this is all cast iron. This is plastic. After I bought it, the directions said, Don't put it in the oven, you'll melt the handle. Duh. Welcome to America. Okay, so this has got to just work for about 15 minutes so that they're nice and soft, and even more sugar is going to come out, and then we'll be back. Okay, now we're back. The croutons are done. I'm a little upset. On my Hotmail news, I heard that Paris Hilton had a terrible Christmas. The poor, destitute little thing. She's a blonde, you know. Okay, now, if you believe that, I got land in Florida. Okay, now, it's hot, but I'm, see, one with my hand and one with the little tongs, and I'll try not to go into my flamenco routine again. I thought that was cute. Everyone around me said that that was not good. Now, these have been toasted, and they're very hard. Just not toasted. I baked them for 20 minutes on a low setting to get all of the moisture out of the bread, so that when this goes into the soup, it will sustain all of the liquid. All right, you don't want it to, it gets soggy, you know, that's fine. Now, this, my garlic is toasted, and I'm going to put in beef bouillon. This is 3 cups. Now, I made this out of some beef bones. This cow is very sick, so I have to be honest. I cheated with a bouillon cube because I tasted it. It just, I don't know, something just wasn't, it really didn't have that beef flavor, so I helped it out a little bit. Now, I'm going to put a little pepper in now, and just a little salt because the bouillon cube has salt in it, and I salted when I made that. And then I'm going to put in my thyme in here, okay? And that's going to be just simmered for about 15 minutes. I'm going to give this a cover, and actually what I can do to give it a little bit of extra flavor is I'm going to throw in a little bit of parsley, okay? And that just has to be come up to a boil and just simmer for a little bit, and then we'll be back again. Okay, now it's just coming up to a boil, and I have bay leaves in here. I don't want to leave them in the broth, so I put the bay leaf in there, and as it simmers away, the flavor of the bay leaf will go into there, and then I can take that out. Okay, now our broth, it looks great, and I have it on very, very low. I'm going to take out the bay leaves. We don't want those in there. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to put the onions right into the broth. The onions look beautiful. Now they just need to rest in here for a little bit. They don't need to cook. They're already cooked. They're very sweet. Then I'm going to cover this, and then just let it steep for just a little while. I have it on 1, which is the lowest thing. It just bubbles, goes down, bubbles, goes down for about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, now this is ready. Looks beautiful. And the first thing I'm going to do is put in some onions in the bottom. This is going to be more than for 2 people, but the recipe, you can't make it less because it just doesn't sit well. Okay, now some people like to put their crouton in the bottom and then put this in here and then put the broth and then put another crouton on top. I like both croutons on top. Alright, now put in our croutons. It's going to sink down, and the cheese should be all over the top. Now, I start with, this is Havarti cheese. And then I'm putting my mozzarella. And And this is just incredible after it's in the broiler and when it comes out. If you're a cheese lover and you like onions, this is the best. Okay, now I've grated some Romano cheese, just a little bit. I'm going to put on the top, and it's going to fall down to that pan. That's why I have it like that. And a little bit of Parmesan on top of that. Okay. Now this is going into the broiler, which I have it set at 400, not 500. And you broil the top of this. And we'll be back when this is done. Okay, now this is ready. Broiled on the top. Look at that. It's gorgeous. That's how you should have a little of these burnt marks here, and the cheese is coming down the sides. I don't know, move these a little bit further apart. A little bit of parsley on here. We're going to let these sit for about 5 minutes because this is lethally hot. Lethal. It's got to cool a little bit. Okay, here we are. It looks cool enough. Alright, and I'm going to give this a try. French onion soup. That's the crouton. Alouette gentille, alouette gentille. And I don't know the rest, but that's as much as I know. Outstanding. It's too bad Amar can't taste this. He's just not, he's in a mood. I'm going to try 2 spoons. Unbelievable. You know, I have to see if I can get some onions. There they are. This part's really hot. Delicious. The onions are very, very sweet. And this is an appetizer. This, to me, if you had this, I don't know how you could eat the rest of the meal, but unless there's a lot of time in between. The cheese is, the mozzarella is terrific. Actually, it's best when you dig into it right away, but when it's so hot underneath, you can't handle it. Delicious. At any rate, this was very popular in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Then it wasn't so popular anymore. In the restaurants in Manhattan, when I used to live in Manhattan, it was always served at all of the bistros. Now you don't see it so much anymore. It's still around. I don't know why. It's really dynamite. And it works best by eating it with 2 spoons. See you again.